Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Driven. I've got a friend of mine driving me today, and his name is Jerry Lisby, and he lives in Highland Village, and he is the Pitminder for Marty B's. Jerry, tell me, before you became the Pitminder at Marty B's, what were you doing before that?
So I worked for McKesson Pharmaceutical as a business analyst for right at 16 years.
It's a long time.
It's a very long time. It was a great job, great company.
And then how did the opportunity come up for you to join the team and help Marty Bryan open Marty B's?
Well, I know Marty from both of our kids were in the same kindergarten class, and I would see him wearing chef coats, and I was always intrigued. I was just naturally wanted to know what he did. Found out he worked for Cotton Patch, and then one day I think it was on LinkedIn, I saw that he'd left Cotton Patch, and I was intrigued. I was like, oh man, I wonder what he's doing. And so I just kind of emailed him out of the blue and asked him to meet me somewhere, and talked about what he was doing. He was consulting, but then when he told me about his idea that he had, and it kind of blew me away. I mean, he was going to do it with or without me, but I was just super intrigued by the idea and knew I felt in my heart that it'd be successful. And
your wife Tamara was 100% supportive.
No, 1,000,000%. Like, as it went on, I mean, this went on a few months, and Marty came to me and asked me if I'd like to be a part of it. And I was like, man, I can't. I had a great job, but
you've got two kids.
Two kids, yeah. And I mean, it's super scary and
definitely a risk.
Very huge risk.
And the restaurant business is a risk.
Right.
Huge risk. Not just leaving your career doing something and going into another career. I mean, you're going into a field where
the success rate sometimes is not very high.
Right.
And it was scary, but I pretty much told myself, I was like, there's no way I can do this. But my wife was the one that says, you're an idiot if you don't. And so that really, it got me thinking a little bit more, and she's like, I'm serious, we'll do whatever we have to do to make this happen, which was unbelievable. And so we thought about it, we talked about it, but the fact that Marty
had all the experience,
he had tons of experience, he put everything on the line. I was like, man, if you're going to go into business, why not go with somebody that they're putting everything on the line, they're putting their family, their way of business, they're paying their bills. He was all in. I was like, man, I felt confident that he was going to do everything in his power to make it possible for that place to be successful.
So what do you love most about what you do? Because you work long hours, you get up super early.
Yes.
You smell like barbecue.
Almost 24 hours a day.
Which I don't.
I was very curious. I went home, I
today.
showered, and came presentable.
Those are some challenges about it. So
huge challenge, especially with my wife. She was starting to rethink her decision after I came home smelling like
smoke,
a campfire.
Barbecue.
Yes. Yeah. So we had to form a plan on how to deal with that. I really enjoy cooking for people. Everybody thinks about a special time when they're with their family, and sometimes it's based around food. Like, oh man, my family, we used to go to First Cafeteria. So many memories are based in food, and it's so great to be able to give people those, being a part of giving somebody that memory.
What's the craziest thing that you've ever put in the smoker?
Well, one time, like when we first opened the restaurant, there was a guy his name was Gus. He did all the glass work for Marty B's, and he came up one day. He's like, man, we were just barely getting the smokers, seasoned and everything. He goes, I've got a wild, boar leg in my freezer. I'd love to cook it. I was like, come down anytime. Let's yeah, absolutely. Well, I didn't understand. Like, it was 2 days later that he brought it up there and just threw it on. Had no idea. He just put it on there as we were seasoning the smoker, and I'm like, opened it up, and there's this hog leg sitting on there, unseasoned. It was just there, and I was like, this thing is going to be terrible. Tough, and I'll be dang, we got it off, and I wrapped it up and just giving it to him. He's like, well, grab some. And I'm like, So I tasted it, and it was awesome.
Is there something that you will not try?
I don't think so. No.
So you would eat bugs?
I have, yes. I did it in New Orleans early this year at the Insect Museum in downtown New Orleans.
What is the best thing you've ever eaten?
Oh my
I know that question is so hard.
That is a tough one. I find pleasure in pretty much everything. I mean, there's definitely bad stuff, but...
So then what's your go-to, at least, when, you know you want to eat something good? What's your go-to cuisine, I guess?
I love seafood, shrimp and lobster and crab legs, boil, fried, whatever is probably my favorite.
What was your first car?
My first car, my grandfather, this was in New Mexico, my grandfather lived next door to, they were both worked for the railroad, and they lived on 5 acres, but they were really close. And the guy had retired, and he had all these old cars in the back of his lot, and he had this old, it was a 1948 Willys Jeep. And so I was like, man, that'd be so great. And my grandfather was like, well, let's, I'll buy it for you, and we'll fix it up. So we get it, we pull it next door into his shop, and we open the hood, and it's got a 327 Super Sport Chevelle motor in it.
Oh my gosh.
So originally it comes with like a 4-cylinder engine that's just, you put it on, but somebody put this huge, so we rebuilt the whole motor, and I drove that Jeep for about 3 seconds, and my mom said, absolutely not. Because no human should own anything like that. It was ridiculous. It was so fast, and it had no, the windshield folded down. So it was just straight across. And she's like, no, you're not going to, absolutely not.
So then what happened to the car? What happened to the Jeep? Did you guys sell it?
Yeah, I got to drive it like 3 or 4 times in the mud, and that was great. And then I even realized that it was probably not the correct thing for me to have.
Right.
This is when I was like 13 or 14. And so I think a hunter bought it, they took it up to the mountains to go hunting with it and stuff. So that was my first vehicle.
So what's your dream car? That car? Having that car back?
Yeah, have that one back. I would love to have a 67 Super Sport Camaro.
Okay.
That's my, it's pretty cliche, but...
What color?
All black.
Where are we? Do you want to turn around?
Yes.
Before we're in Oklahoma?
Oh my gosh, we're just south of Tyler. Oh no, wait, Tyler's east.
So you're living out your dream, doing what you love to do, cooking for people, you've got your family. What's next on your list? Is there another dream maybe that you have, or something that you want to do on your bucket list, whether it be career-wise or just travel, or what's the plan for the Lisbys?
I think, one day, down the road, I'll definitely have something of my own. I have so many ideas in my head.
Who would you say has had the biggest impact on who you have become?
Biggest impact of who? Just as a person in general? 100%, 1000% my wife.
Hi, camera. And don't you guys get married every year? Or what's the story with that?
Every 5 years.
Every 5
It's so great. She loves it, so I love it. But I do have off anniversaries and Valentine's Day. So those are a wash for me.
Oh, so you forego
those? Yeah.
She lets you forego those to do the every 5 year.
And it's not just like, oh, let's just renew our vows. It's full on.
It's a wedding.
Yes, it's everything. So good.
What do you love most about being a dad?
Oh my gosh, everything. It's so great.
What drives you every day to be the best you can be for yourself, for your family, for your guests and your friends?
For the work side of my life, my inspiration is, Marty always talks about customers, and we're doing this for our customers and that for our customers. And so that inspires me. I'm like, you know what? If I'm feeling tired, I was like, oh man, I want to do this. You really can't. It makes you not want to cut corners. You don't because you're like, you have all these people who are making this money to go out and spend it on something that you're doing. You want it to be the best it can be. And so, the inspiration is just not disappointing people, making sure that you're doing the best you can to make their experience the best it can be. And same way with family. Like I want to make my my wife and my kids proud of what I do and how I treat them.
Jerry, thank you so much for coming on. I know we can talk food for days, and I love that about you. So follow Jerry on Instagram because he posts a lot of great food on there. Polaroid Rules.
Yes.
And then go ahead and go over to Marty B's, and he's there most of the time. If you want to meet him, just ask for Jerry.
The guy in the back.
Yeah, the guy in the back.
That's how they know.
And thanks everybody so much for tuning in to Driven, and eat something good today and stay driven.